Let's talk about bullying. And I'm talking about bullying in preschool, right? So this is ages 2 to 5 years old. Hopefully you have not heard those dreaded words. Mom, Dad, I'm being bullied. That just crushes your heart, right? So before you start snatching off your earrings and grabbing your keys and going down to the school, stop, take a deep breath. Let's talk about it. So I want to start with the definition of bullying first, right? The definition is an act of aggression that is intended to do harm, and it is repeated. This is a repeated offense, and there's usually an element of imbalance of power, right? So the bullying child is trying to have power over a group of children or one particular child. So this is something that no parent wants to go through. However, I do want to talk about it from my experience as a preschool teacher, because as a preschool teacher, it would break my heart when a parent would come in and say that little so-and-so is bullying my child, when I know that all of these kids are just simply trying to navigate their emotions, right? We have to remember that kids do not have, at 2 to 5, they're not able to regulate their emotions. So them learning these skills, social emotional skills, is a very fluid. One day they're great, the next day they're not so great, right? Did they eat? Did they not get good sleep? Did something happen in the family? There's a reason why your child might be misbehaving, that's my word, today, and be on great behavior the next day. This is what I usually saw in my classroom of 2 to 5 year olds. However, if you really do feel like your child might be a victim of bullying, here's a few things that you can do to help navigate the situation. The first thing I want to say is always keep that line of communication with your child open, right? They want to know that that they're safe, that they can tell you, and that you're going to remain calm, but you're listening, right? You don't want to get too emotional, because you will project that onto your child. You don't want to be like, they did what? They said what? And what did you do? Did you do this back and that back? You want to keep it calm, right? And so what I would say is to make note. You want to journal. You want to keep the date, and you want to write down the incident that your child said happened, so that if it is a repeat offense, you have that paper trail to prove what your child has been saying. So the next thing I would want to do is find out what your school's anti-bullying policies are. Most schools have anti-bullying policies, and research shows that when a school has an anti-bullying policy, reports of bullying has gone down 20%. Okay, so you want to know what they're going to do about it. So in keeping with that, talking to the school, you also want to keep communication open with the teacher. You want to tell the teacher what your child has told you. Like, you want to send an email that evening, call them the next morning. You might have to leave a message because they're busy in the classroom, and let them know what your child has told you. Schedule a conference call. Now, in this conference call, you also want to ask about your child's behavior, right? We're talking 2 to 5 years old. So a lot of times children are embellishing what might have happened, exaggerating what might have happened. Most importantly, omitting, not telling you their part or what behaviors they did that day. I found this to be very common. And I'm saying, well, did little Susie Sally tell you that she chucked a shoe across the room today and it hit little Mary Beth? Mary Beth's mom can be calling the next morning saying, little Susie Sally hit my child in the head with the shoe. I feel like she's being bullied. So I often found those situations. So we want to just maintain a sense of calm, keep cool heads, and just keep that open dialogue with the teacher about what is going on. And another tip that we often did in the classroom is role play, right? You want to give your child a course of action that they can take. You want to tell them the words that they can use if they are being cornered by a bully. You know, don't talk to me that way. Stop. I don't like that. Don't touch me. A lot of preschool teachers like to say, you're in my bubble space. That became very popular 2.5 years ago when at the start of COVID. And people are still using it. So you're in my bubble, you're too close, leave me alone. You also want to tell them to ask another child to go and get help, right? You want to be like, Johnny, go get Miss Jenkins. So that another child is simply not just being an onlooker, but can go and get help. And then you want to tell your child to leave the situation, to walk away, go get help, go to a teacher. But this has to be practiced. That's why role play is so key, because you want these words practiced so that if this encounter happens, your child have the words right there at the tip of their tongue and they're able to defend themselves. Lastly, you want to make sure your child knows that they have your love and support, that they do not have to go through this alone, and that you and the teacher or you and the school will get to the bottom of it and this will be squashed. So make sure you love your kid, give them support, keep open communication, dialogue going between you and the school and the teacher, journal, and do the role play. Hopefully you will not experience this with your child, but if you do, hopefully these tips can help. If you have a situation that has occurred, or if you need any more advice or help on this subject, feel free to DM me.